Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Red Dead Redemption 2 video, we're going to be trying to find Arthur's old house, where it actually might be located, and who really killed his son Isaac and the mother of his son Eliza. We're going to be discussing all of that in this video today. So before we can begin, I'm sure there's some of you guys that don't know that Arthur had a son, and I don't know if this individual was his wife temporarily or just the mother of his son, but we actually hear about this information in a optional mission that occurs in Chapter 6. Arthur and Rains Fall are riding on horseback through the Grizzly Mountains, and Arthur starts to talk about his son and Eliza. Take a listen to this.
You know, I had a son once, years ago. Don't talk about him much.
Oh, what was his name?
Isaac. His mother, Eliza, was a waitress I met. When she got pregnant, she knew who I was, what my life was. I didn't want to promise nothing I couldn't keep, but I said I'd do right by them. Every few months, I'd stop by there for a few days. He was such a good kid. She was too, I guess. Just a kid, 19.
What happened?
I got there one day and saw two crosses outside. I knew right away. Turned out some bastards had come through. Robbed them. Shot them dead. And offered $10. Hardened me. Feeling that kind of pain.
Wait! Where are you going?
But I know now that you don't get to live a bad life and have good things happen to you.
I think you're being hard on yourself.
Maybe. All I can do now is try and make some things right.
Okay, so that background right there was important because we understand that Eliza and Isaac are not alive and that Arthur returned to their home one day and there were two crosses buried out front. And he knew right away that they had been murdered. So now that you know that, the next thing we need to do is take a look at a scene from the official trailer for Red Dead Redemption 2. This is the third trailer. This short scene right here has Arthur walking away from a small house, and you can see there are two graves. And I think that these are the graves of Isaac and Eliza. Now, the reason I was inspired to dive into this mystery is because one of the top posts on the Red Dead Mystery subreddit, it's like the second one of all time, the second highest there, is called "This is Arthur's Old Home." And it points to a location in-game that looks to fit the description of Arthur's home. So I was very interested in this, and I wanted to check it out to see if this made sense, as indeed being Arthur's old home. So it's actually located in Lemoyne. Basically, what you want to do is find the O in Bayou, and this small homestead will be located right there. Now, the first thing that could indicate why this is Arthur's old home or the home of Eliza and Isaac is because of those two graves that are located out front. And this small homestead has those exact two graves. One of the crosses is in perfect condition, and one of the crosses seems to be sort of worn down and broken over. So these could be the graves of Isaac and Eliza. And if we actually go inside of the house, we can gather some more information as well that might indicate that this is Arthur's old house. The reason for that is on the mantle of the fireplace, there's a statue of a deer or a stag, which of course we know is Arthur's spirit animal if he chooses to have good honor. So those are all the things that make sense, that point to the fact that yes, this could be Arthur's old home. Now let's talk about the things that don't make sense. The first is that this is located in Lemoyne. And Lemoyne is based off of real-life Louisiana, like super deep in the South. Arthur has stated on many occasions that he has never been this far south, and that Isaac and Eliza, he actually met them in the Northeast. I would have to speculate somewhere like Ohio or something like that. It definitely wasn't anywhere that we experience in-game. Because in Chapter 4, when the gang officially moves to Saint Denis, or at least really close to it, Arthur says many times that not only does he not like this area at all, he can't stand it, but this is his first time seeing a big city like Saint Denis. And that wouldn't make sense if his old home was just a couple of feet away from that big city. So those are all things that don't make sense. The graves are, I think, a coincidence, and I think that the deer statue is a coincidence as well. It's quite a convenient one, but I think the location we saw in that third trailer is not in the game. Like, maybe Rockstar cut that content from the actual game and they just used it for the trailer. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Now, the next thing I want to dive into is who murdered Eliza and Issac, because that's what Arthur said happened to them. They were murdered, all for $10. And it got me thinking, who would be capable of doing something like this? Well, the serial killer, of course. Now, in case you guys have no idea who the serial killer is, the serial killer Edmund Lowry Jr. actually has 3 clues that you need to find scattered throughout the world. One of them is in West Elizabeth, one of them is in New Hanover, and one of them is in Lemoyne. Essentially, what you need to find is 3 hanging torsos or bodies, and there's going to be 3 pieces of a map that you ultimately need to put together. And once you've collected all 3 of these pieces, it will lead you to an area called Lucky's Cabin, which is just on the outskirts of Valentine. This is where the serial killer's lair, I guess you could say, is. And one of the things that's interesting on the inside is he has a lot of like newspaper clippings of his crimes, like all the murders that he's committed. And a lot of them extend further out than we've seen, like in territories and places that aren't even mentioned in game. Like they bring up Ohio and California and New York. So it seems as if the serial killer has been around and has done more than just murder people in the 5 states that we see in game. Okay, so how does this relate to Eliza? Well, if we actually go on the other side of, I guess, his little bunker, you can see a very interesting poster. And that poster is actually for a girl that he is, I guess, going after, or a missing girl called Eliza Bloom. Now, it is kind of hard to read the wanted poster, but you guys can see there that it's reward for the information on a missing girl, Eliza Bloom. She was last seen near Valentine in the Dakota River. Now, we don't know what Eliza's last name is, but it could have possibly been Bloom. And I don't know if that fits the description of Arthur's lover, or at least the mother of her son, but it is interesting. I don't know any other Elizas in game, and Rockstar goes like out of their way to put this in the middle of our view here, which again, kind of interesting stuff. Now, as you guys know, if you try and complete this serial killer mystery, you actually go into the final room of his little bunker, and if you inspect the knife on the floor, you'll actually get knocked out by the serial killer. And long story short, you wake up and he talks to you for a little bit, and then you have the option to throw like a severed head at him. However, I wanted to see if we would get more lines of dialogue from him. Maybe he would bring up Eliza and Issac if we did nothing. So that's what I wanted to find out, and this is what happened.
Do you like pain? Is it your friend? It's about to become your very close friend. Very close. But when it's over, release. Glorious release. Now, there's no point fighting. You might as well try and relax a little bit.
Okay, so even though that was incredibly creepy and we end up getting killed by the serial killer, he didn't give us any further lines of dialogues or any more details regarding Issac and Eliza. So a little disappointing as far as that goes. And we don't get any further clues from the serial killer when we actually get caught up by him or when we turn him in, whether he did anything to Arthur or his family, Eliza or Isaac. In fact, he doesn't even seem to know who Arthur is, but then again, he might not have because remember, Arthur got there after the murders had been committed. Now, the only reason why I would suspect that this is not the same Eliza is I think the serial killer murders for different intentions. It seems as if Eliza and Isaac were murdered because they were getting robbed. Arthur, if you remember, says it was all for $10. So I don't know if Edmund Lowry Jr. would kill someone for $10. I think he does it for the sport of it and not so the money. So overall, these are two interesting theories. I don't know if they have enough legs to stand up on their own. I think there's a lot of things that debunk Arthur's old house. I legitimately think Rockstar cut that from the game altogether. And I think that the serial killer, even though he has murdered a ton of people, it doesn't fit the description of the type of murder and person that he would go after in order to commit like one of his crazy crimes. But then again, I could be wrong. As always, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Please let me know what you think about both of these mysteries that we covered today. Do you ever think we will get to see Arthur's old house in the game? Will we get more backstory on Eliza and Isaac? Let me know your thoughts, opinions, and more in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new, or you like daily Red Dead Redemption 2 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.